Hello and welcome to Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Joel Kilshoer and I am your worship associate today. I am joined by Beth Syverson, our Director of Music Ministries, and Karen Magoon Pearson, who is our Director of Religious Education for Children and Youth, in welcoming you this morning. Our minister, Reverend Sean Wilshire, is not leading the service today, but she has a special message for you.
Hello, Roomers and Zoomers. So I'm away this week, but my spirit is with you. For those of you who are new to the church, maybe you're just checking us out or curious about Unitarian Universalism, welcome. Glad you're here. You are in for a treat. This is a wonderful, friendly, fabulous, just all-around spectacular community. I hope you can get to know them because it can be kind of tough to get to know a new community. But here's the thing, just hang in there, join in one of the activities, and before long, you'll get to know people, and then this becomes your church. Well, today we've planned a wonderful service for you, just blending music and word to bring together a helpful and hope-filled message. We hope it will feed your soul. So without further ado, let's go.
We'd also like to recognize the many volunteers that have helped put this service together today. And this morning we are delighted to have Casey Marie Pandell. She has her Master's of Divinity from Meadville Lombard Theological School and is seeking ordination in the UUA with sights set on a long career in parish ministry. We respectfully recognize that our church property rests on the Hachimen and Tongva land. As Unitarian Universalists, we have many different beliefs, but we are one loving community. We are bound together, not by a common set of rules or beliefs, but rather a covenant. A covenant is simply a promise that whatever our beliefs, we accept one another and encourage each other in spiritual growth. We affirm that all life has inherent value and that all existence is interconnected. We strive for justice and compassion in our deeds and relationships, and we are committed to creating a welcoming community without regard to the traits that sometimes divide people. To our roomers, we invite you to silence your cell phones. For our Zoomers, we invite you to say hello in the chat. I want to extend a special welcome to visitors. If you are seeking a spiritual home, we hope you will find it here. Later in the service, we will have an opportunity for you to introduce yourself if you'd like to do so. And finally, we would like OCUC to become a fragrance-free zone. Several members and friends have sensitivities with strong scents, and in order to prevent our fellow congregants from experiencing discomfort in our services, we're asking that everyone try and avoid using cologne and perfume when you come to church so that all can be welcomed into our service. Thank you. Now, we begin our worship with the lighting of our chalice. This morning, I'd like to invite Emma Kilshoer up here to light our chalice. Emma has been a member for 17 years. She likes to read fantasy novels and play open world video games. All right, yes, light it. Hold it. There we go. Love is the spirit of our church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. Hold it less vertically, so we affirm together. So, okay, hold on. Last time.
We're going to be helping one another right here.
All right, yeah, okay, so hold, don't try not to hold it vertically, hold it.
I don't know how to do it. Okay, cool.
Yay. All right. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. It's the last Sunday in Pride Month, and it's going to be an LGBTQ themed Sunday. And so I wanted you to know that all the songs in the prelude and all the congregational songs are by LGBTQ people. And your pianist is lesbian, and your special musician is non-binary, and they are going to come up and help us with this song. Right now, this is Cole Yoshi. You'll hear more from Cole later, but they're going to help me with the second part in italics. For lower voices, you can sing this part. Though we've broken our vows 1,000 times,
Though we've broken our vows,
so just keep going, lower voices, and everyone else.
broken our vows
whoever you
1,000 times.
are,
Though we've broken our
wanderer,
vows
worshiper, lover
1,000
of
times. Though
leaving,
we've
ours
broken
is
our
no
vows
caravan of
1,000 times.
despair.
Though we've broken our
Come yet
vows
again,
1,000
come
times.
yet.
Though we've broken our
Come,
vows
whoever
1,000
you
times.
are,
Though we've broken our
wanderer,
vows
worshiper,
1,000
lover of
times. Though
leaving,
we've
ours
broken
is
our
no
vows
caravan of
1,000 times.
despair.
Though we've broken our
Come yet
vows
again, come.
1,000
Come yet again,
times.
come.
Though we've broken our
Come
vows
yet again, come.
1,000
Last
times.
time.
Though we've broken our
Come
vows
yet again,
1,000 times.
Good morning, everyone. There we go. My name is Casey Marie Pandell. I am the sabbatical preaching minister for Orange Coast this summer. Thank you. It's my honor and my joy to be here with you today. Whether it is your first visit or your 5,000th visit, you are whole, you are holy, you are loved, and you are so welcome here. Before we begin with our call to worship today, there are a couple of really important announcements from the Unitarian Universalist Association that I would like to share with you this morning. Some of you may be aware it has been General Assembly all week. Some of you may have been attending online. It's been in Pittsburgh. Two big announcements have come out of General Assembly. The first one is that our new president has been elected. The Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt, who is a queer Afro-Latina woman, has been elected for a 6-year term as our new president with 95.5% of our delegates voting. It's a big deal. She's going to be a really good asset to our faith. Some of you may be aware that we have been looking over our Article 2 in our bylaws. I know Article 2 is kind of tense for people. It's no secret, those of you who took my course over in April, that this is something that I think is the right move for our faith. So, our congregations have voted to continue the conversation around Article 2 for another year. We have 5 amendments that passed, plus the proposed rewrite. So the commission is going to rewrite all of that together and present it in a few months, and we'll continue those conversations until next GA. At next GA, which is all virtual, by the way, we will vote as everyone, so not just our delegates, but everyone will be voting, and it does need a quorum to pass. So we are continuing the discussion about what that means for our bylaws, which is a good thing. So I just wanted to announce those for you guys, for all of you, so you know that that's going on our wider national scale. Our call to worship this morning is entitled Love by Enfleshed. Love cannot be bought or sold. It does not make profit. Love does not hide from truth. Love dives deep. Love takes on flesh. Love is queer. Love is platonic. Love is erotic. Love is asexual. Love confronts evil. Love delights in pleasure. Love touches and weeps and flirts and feeds and creates. Love is risky. Love challenges systemic evil in all of its forms. Love is simple, but not easy. Love is collective. Love rises up. Love apologizes. Love believes. Love corrects. Love holds accountable. Love pays reparations. Love heals. Love tells its story. Love embraces everyone, every creature, every creation. It knows us intimately. It holds us collectively. Love transcends every boundary that seeks to confine it. It will not tolerate violence in its name. It does no harm. Love only sets free. Welcome to worship.
Safe behind these windows and these parapets of stone, gazing at the people down below me. All my life I watch them as I hide up here alone, safe beneath these walls that enshroud me. All my life I memorize their faces, knowing them as they will never know me. All my life I wonder how it feels to pass a day not above them, but part of them. And out there, living in the sun, give me one day out there. All I ask is one to hold forever out there, where they all live unaware. What I'd give, what I'd dare, just to live one day out there. Out there among the millers and the weavers and their wives, joined together as we all decree them. Every day they shout and scold and go about their lives, heedless of the gift it is to be them. If I were in their skin, I treasure every instant out there, strolling by the Seine. Taste a morning out there, like ordinary men who freely walk about there. Just one day and then I swear I'll be content with my share. Won't resent, won't despair, old and bent, I won't care. I'll have spent one day out there.
Welcome to Learn Conmigo. This read aloud is Julian is a Mermaid by Jessica Love. This is a boy named Julian. And this is his abuela. And those are some mermaids. Julian loves mermaids. Vámonos, mijo. This is our stop. Abuela, did you see the mermaids? I saw them, hijo. Abuela, I am also a mermaid. I'm going to take a bath. You be good. Julian has a good idea. Oh. Uh-oh. Come here, mi hijo. For me, abuela? For you, Julian. Where are we going? You'll see, says abuela. Mermaids, whispered Julian. Like you, mijo. Let's join them. And they do.
And we're going to sing our children and teachers off to their classes. We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious love. We hold you in our love as you go.
Our reading and meditation today are words from Victoria Safford called Any Other Questions? People ask me sometimes, is this a gay church? And it is a privilege to answer. Ours is absolutely, gladly, hopefully, and humbly, gaily a gay church. A gay tradition where everyone, including heterosexual members and friends, are welcome. Where everyone is needed. Where everyone's experience is cherished as sacred text. Because no one's experience of living or loving can be comprehensive. Because each of us holds clues that others need about how to live with dignity and joy as a human person, and none of us knows enough about that yet to be considered whole. It is absolutely a gay church, even as ours is a gay world. If you look around, gay church, straight church, people's church, a human congregation made holy by the holy hopes and fears and dreams of all who wish to come. Come in, we say. Come out. Come in. We are all in this together. I will not speak of tolerance with its courteous clenched teeth and bitter resignation. I will not speak of acceptance of other people and some other kind of lifestyle. I can only look in laughing wonder at human life in all its incarnations. I can taste only in passing the breath of the spirit of life on my mouth and understand our common longing to breathe in deep, deep gulps of it. I cannot think of anybody being anybody else's ally, even because even that implies some degree of separation, some degree of safety for some of us, but not for all. We are allied with no one and with nothing but love. The larger love with a capital L transcending all our understanding, within which all the differing, gorgeously various, variant, beautifully deviant aspects of ourselves are bound in elegant unity. I know that on some sad and disappointing days, these words that describe this church that yet shall be and is not yet the church that is. I know. But I know too that to answer is an act of creation. To answer this question and some others is a privilege, a prophetic imperative, a joy, a duty, and a holy sacrament. Please join me in a time of silent prayer, meditation, or reflection.
This song is a series of Emma's Revolution. Raise your hand if you know who Emma's Revolution is. They're a wonderful UU duo, folk singers. They're wonderful. And we're going to sing this song, and I'm going to add some extra lyrics, so just follow me. And there's some clapping parts too. We're going to keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Let's try that again. Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Keep on walking proudly. Gonna keep on walking proudly. Keep on walking proudly. Keep on walking proudly, never turning back, never turning back. Keep on loving boldly, gonna keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Never turning back one more time. Never turning back. Never turning back.
When I hear the word Stonewall, I instantly have an image of Marsha P. Johnson, a tall, black, beautiful trans woman full of righteous indignance in the midst of a pulsing throng of others full of anger and frustration, wrapping her fingers around a brick and catapulting it straight through a large glass window to a chorus of cheers. But this image is false. And yet, as we entered Pride Month a few weeks ago, images of Miss Marsha and her beautiful smile, her head bearing a crown of flowers, hit social media with all kinds of quippy sayings about bricks and riots. And while these images and sayings are memorable and powerful, they aren't the full story. They aren't even the correct story of this story of a riot. Or was it an uprising? As with many things, it is far more complicated than that, and it depends a little bit on who you ask. In a weird way, though, we don't even really know the correct story of Stonewall at all, and there is a multitude of reasons for that. The least of all, as I think a lot of us know, memory can be kind of a fickle thing. There are dozens, hundreds of stories even. Some of them have connecting through lines which might be hints of glimmers of truth, or perhaps glimmers of a sought-after or long-believed truth. Plenty of people, for example, saw Miss Marsha on that first night, but even she herself never stated that she threw anything, let alone a brick that knocked down that first domino. Some stories say that the match was struck when a woman colloquially known as the Stonewall lesbian was cracked in the head with a cop's nightstick and bleeding yelled to the crowd, "Why don't you guys do something?" Who was the Stonewall lesbian? Was it drag performer Stormy DeLaveray? She says so, but it took her nearly 40 years to claim the title. Others say that while she was in New York at the time, that she was nowhere near the Stonewall Inn that night. Cops stated that the riot was a raid blown out of proportion and that they feared for their safety. Patrons have stated that it was just one spark in response to years of kindling set before them, where it was just one more injustice that gay people were tired of. Were there women and drag queens and transgender people at the Stonewall Inn that night? Were there sex workers and librarians, professors and street kids? All of this is yes, and all of it is no in equal measure. So what do we know about Stonewall, and why was this particular moment the catalyst for the gay civil rights movement? A little bit of history. Stonewall comes at the end of the 1960s, a time when we are already seeing radical movements towards equality in the Black Power, feminist, and anti-Vietnam movements. To this point, the fight for LGBT equality had been little more than a whisper. The Mattachine Society and the Daughters of Bilitis, a gay and lesbian group respectively, had held some protests, picketing in places like Washington, D.C., but with very specific parameters. Frank Kameny of the Mattachine Society had required that you can be gay, but you cannot look like it or you cannot act like it, whatever that's supposed to mean. One must have worn the clothing that adhered to their assigned sex, men in slacks, buttoned up, and a tie with a coat. Women in skirts and heels and stockings, and absolutely no hand-holding, kissing, or otherwise outward displays of homosexuality. The point was to try to show we are just like you. Again, whatever that means. But what an impossible feat when it was still illegal nationwide to be homosexual. In a time when people were losing jobs, homes, and children simply for being who they are and for loving who they loved. When the only safe places were the occasional bar in a big city, some of which were legally prohibited from even serving alcohol to anyone who wasn't straight. Stonewall was one of the few refuges for gay men because it was predominantly for men, although occasionally they allowed a lesbian, drag queen, or transsexual, which was at the time the recognized term of the day for transgender, but it's more complicated than that. But the Stonewall was not without its own issues. As with most safe havens, it was mob-run, dirty, dingy, and small. The drinkware was purported to be unclean, and you never quite knew what you were drinking. It was a far cry from being glamorous. But there was a dance floor where men could dance with other men, with a fine little jukebox to play music on. Local cops on the books took bribes from the owners to give just a moment's heads up before a police raid, which usually ended in most men giving an ID and being released. But the night of June 28, 1969 was different. There was no warning as a different precinct had chosen to come in that night. The police expected business as usual, but there was something in the air. Some folks said it was the stifling heat, others said it was grief over the death of Judy Garland, who was laying in wait isn't the word, but she was waiting to be buried a few blocks away. Whatever it was, people had had enough. Enough of being pushed around, enough of being made to hide in the shadows. Some folks were released, but a few others, people who did not present as the correct picture of a man, were held back as the small crowd outside became increasingly heated. And this is where some of the stories really start to diverge, but we know for sure that as the police outside tried to deal with the beginnings of crowd outrage, they retreated into the bar, bringing a local reporter with them. As the crowd began to grow, pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters started to fly, one pelting an officer in the face. They grabbed a random bystander and dragged him into the Stonewall, instead leveling many blows against his body. The crowd outside surged with chants of gay power being raised above the noise. Somewhere folks acquired a parking meter, using it as a battering ram against the Stonewall doors. Fires were lit, setting the front of the Stonewall bar ablaze. People were arrested, loaded into the paddy wagon, and managing to escape and flee, coming back around to add their voices to the ever-growing crowd, now numbering over 2,000. The marching began with more cheers, jeers, and chants. Many people report a chorus of drag queens, arms linked, kicking higher than the Rockettes, singing, "We are the Stonewall Girls, we wear our hair in curls," to the tune of "Ta-ra-ra boom die." Lyrics do tend to vary from amusing to not pulpit appropriate, depending on recollection. The crowd would not disperse from Christopher Street or Sheridan Square Park until after sunrise. But it was clear there was no putting the cork back in that bottle. The uprising would continue for 4 nights in total, though by Sunday it had mostly fizzled out. Does that retelling feel a little bit chaotic? Did it feel a little hard to follow? Then you have one very good understanding of part of why it has become difficult to separate fact from fiction. Our memories are far from perfect. My recollection of something can be different from yours, and we seldom recognize history being made when we are right in the middle of it. Although at least one man, Marty Robinson, seemed to recognize the importance of this moment. A moment in which Stonewall was not the loudest, the largest, or even the first uprising for gay civil rights. One of the dozens of interviews I read spoke to Thomas Lanigan Schmidt, a young street kid in his 20s. When they asked him about his recollections, he said that survival on the street was so much more important than remembering the details of Stonewall. For many young gay men and for many of the drag queens in Greenwich Village, life was all about survival, hustling to make ends meet. And this, too, is another reason why recollections are fuzzy. Many a marginalized person within that community stated that middle-class white gays were the ideal. And as the people with the closest proximity to power, perhaps didn't tell the whole story. When the truth is messier than well-dressed, well-spoken, and well-educated men, it's easy for the sentiment of erasure to run rampant. In the aftermath, what we begin to see is people who will no longer be silenced. We see pushes within the LGBT community to be accepted not in spite of one's homosexuality, but to be accepted as human, fully authentic and defined just as they are. We also see underpinnings of privilege and power within the community. The radical lesbians come out as a response to lesbians feeling unsupported by gay men in the movement. STAR is a movement by Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera in an effort to keep trans folks safe and housed when they felt like no one else in the community was willing to help. We see the birth of both the Gay Liberation Front and the Gay Activists Alliance, who split due to a variance in beliefs. We see people time and time again fighting loudly for their right to exist just as they are. And even still, we see crossover between the movements. As for Pride itself, in many ways, it began as the commemoration as the one-year anniversary in the form of the Christopher Street Liberation Day Parade in New York, with a sister parade right here in Southern California, in Hollywood, where, yes, even the homosexuals for Ronald Reagan drove up from Little Orange County. One apparently straight woman remarked, "I can forgive them for being gay. I can't forgive them for Reagan." All of this today is important because the history of LGBT folks is so often misrepresented or untold. Yes, up to this point, with as much of the world's history as it is, the story has been whitewashed, class-washed, gender-washed. And worse still is the rise of Christian nationalism in this country, pushing back against the rights that have been so hard fought and won. And they do so under the false pretense of parental advocacy and children's safety. This isn't just a difference of opinion, though. The anti-trans laws that are being put forth throughout our land are not just harmful, they are dangerous. The banning of books, the stripping down of class syllabi, the taunts and jeers of groomer, the insistence to invade the bodies of children and young people, the calls from politicians and celebrity figures calling for the banning of transgender people. They are all hallmarks of destructive, frightening futures that face the LGBT community and those that love them. The fears of repeals of marriages, the real threats of danger and death, these are all writing on the wall for a return to a world that we cannot let come to pass. We are witnessing history in action right now. We are in the middle of it. We must use the same spark, that very same spark of righteous anger, to fan the flames of liberation. We must stand shoulder to shoulder with those who are under constant attack from the faux puritanical right. Those of us here who are not queer identifying have the luxury of safety, but make no mistake. As a faith that champions love above all else, this is our fight too. The safety, loves, and lives of those who continue to be marginalized based on sexual orientation are paramount. The work is already being done nationwide. It is our job to find a place within it and help bolster that work. In August, I begin serving the Summit Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in the conservative city of Santee, San Diego, in East County. When I met them a few weeks ago, I told them unequivocally that I expect to see California become a sanctuary state for those fleeing religious, social, and political trauma. A hate-filled, bigoted wolf in sheep's clothing of traditional family values. And I asked them what they were prepared to do to be a safe haven for those in need of sanctuary. And I'll ask the same question of you now. What will you do when the suffocation of oppression, homophobia, and transphobia bring pain and suffering not only to our beloved community, but to the world at large? How will we, as Unitarian Universalists, rise to the call and fan the flame of our chalice for the safety, dignity, and divinity of every LGBT person? Our Side with Love campaign is a wonderful place to start, but that cannot be as far as we are willing to go. Those of us who are less directly affected have a lot of work to do to find a place in this fight, especially in relation to transgender rights. Do not let Stonewall be just a moment in the history of the gay rights movement. Let it be the spark of the divine right to life, just as we are loving who and how we are in the continued fight for justice, because this fight is not over, and it will continue. We will need us, each of us, to help keep that flame alight. So may it be, and amen.
Please stand as you are comfortable.
To be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up, you light of change. There is hurting in my family. There is sorrow in my town. There is a panic all across the nation, and there is wailing the whole world round. For I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. May the children see more clearly. May the elders be more wise. May the winds of change caress us, even though they burn our eyes. But I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. Give me a mighty yoke to hold my confusion. Give me a desert to hold my fears. Give me a sunset
Unitarian Universalist congregations are fully self-supporting, meaning that members and friends raise all funds for the operating budget, ministries, and programs of the church. We are ever grateful for your gifts of time, treasure, and talent. OCUC amplifies that spirit of generosity by sharing one half of the plate we receive with an organization that shares our values, which this month is the youth camps of Camp de Benneville Pine, which I believe most of you are familiar. If you are not, there is information on the screen. But there are multiple ways in which you can support the church and Camp de Benneville. You can mail a check, you can go through our website, or use an app called Venco Mobile. If you're a roomer, you can simply use the basket as it is passed. Choice is yours. All the information is on our website should you need it. As always, thank you for your generosity.
Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. Too late for second guessing. Too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts, close my eyes, and leap. It's time to try defying gravity. I think I'll try defying gravity, and you can't pull me down. I'm through accepting limits, 'cause someone says they're so. Some things I cannot change, but till I try I'll never know. Too long I've been afraid of losing love, I guess I've lost. Well, if that's love, it comes at much too high a cost. I'd sooner buy defying gravity. Kiss me goodbye, I'm defying gravity, and you can't pull me down. Unlimited, together we're unlimited. And I just had a vision, almost like a prophecy. I know dreams the way we planned them. If we work in tandem, there's no fight we cannot win. Just you and I defying gravity. With you and I defying gravity. They'll never bring us down. So if you care to find me, look to the western sky. As someone told me lately, everyone deserves a chance to fly. And if I'm flying solo, at least I'm flying free. To those who ground me, take a message back from me. Tell them how I am defying gravity. I'm flying high, defying gravity, and soon they'll match me in renown. And nobody in all of Oz, no wizard that there is or was, is ever gonna bring me down. Oh,
Our offertory response. This song puts our intentions into words and expresses our gratitude for the many gifts we share. Gather
together we gather as one, for peace, love, and justice for everyone. We give from our hearts to show that we care. We can change lives with what we share.
Now is a time when we honor the important events in our lives. You are invited, one and all, whether you are a member, a friend, or a visitor, to participate in our weekly ritual of joys and sorrows. So let's take a deep breath for a moment. Perhaps you come here today holding something close to your heart, moments from the last days or hours that have struck you at your core. If you'd like to honor such a profound joy or sorrow, you are invited to do so. If you're a roomer, you are invited to come forward to light a candle. If you would like to share your joy or sorrow, you can write it down on the slip of paper provided. You can wave over an usher and hand it to me. If you are a Zoomer, you are invited to share your joy or sorrow in the chat. Once the roomers are done lighting candles, I'll read all the joys and sorrows shared out loud as Judith Stamper lights a candle for the Zoomers. As music is played, I invite you to silently offer healing or celebration as you feel called and according to your own beliefs. Right? So, Judith, please light a candle of joy for Jan Maybe. Tomorrow will be the 10-year anniversary of the Supreme Court having overturned California's ban on gay marriage, and her and Beth's wedding ceremony, coincidentally enough. Happy 10-year anniversary, Beth. But there is a note of sorrow as gay marriage is no longer protected nationwide, so she hopes we can work to keep it legal. Okay. Tatiana Hauser has lit a candle of joy for the beautiful singer today. What a talent. Thank you for your voice and being you. I hope we see you again soon. Holly Doran has a joy. Whoa. Thank you. So he says, what a pleasure it was once again to be the sole representative of OCUC at this monthly event. Our Quaker tenants were the presenting group, and I learned that we at OCUC have much more in common with them than what may appear at first glance. Still strongly believe that these international interfaith organizations are our best path to world peace. Marilyn Giss has a joy of being able to celebrate my daughter Anna's 42nd birthday. All three of her children, her sister, and her two children, along with other friends, celebrated around a beach bonfire. Tracy D has a joy for a supportive group in this No Fragrance Society, and a thank you for a wonderful mystery dinner. My first auction social event, I think. I will go to more. Pat Larkin has a joy. Today's service provided a wonderful synchronicity for me. As I learned this week, my dear nephew realizes he is embracing their non-binary essence. Blessed be. Donna McCartney has a joy for the kindness of Sandy and Don Martin. They are so willing to help a friend in need, and we are blessed to have them as part of our church community. Marilyn Friends has a joy. She says, thank you to Sandy, Don, Jolyn, and Joel, that's someone else, for hosting a trip back into the 1950s last night with their mystery dinner. Loads of fun. B has a is lighting a candle of peace and wellness. She went through I'm not sure, let me know, went through an emergency surgery 2 weeks ago. The whole family, including the baby, is recovering. It won't be the last challenge we experience, but we will get through them with love and strength. And Mifani, I apologize, Kaiser, has a joy and a sorrow for John Kaiser. Please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. She's joyful that John is mobile with his cane. Sad that he is not able to do trail maintenance and hike until he has his surgery. Eric Noel is lighting a candle of healing. His grandmother is recovering from a pulmonary embolism. Tests look good, and she is feeling better. Maria Good has a joy and sorrow. She has a sorrow because our bright 3-year-old Cinnamon has developed epilepsy, and a joy because of all the love and support from OCUC friends. Also have a candle of concern from Marilyn Giss, that our longtime member, Yvonne Alcala, this is not a good day for me and names, has been living with her daughter and son-in-law for several years. She has had a fall and is now recovering in a skilled nursing facility. She hopes to return home soon. She loves her church community and is thankful to everyone who has reached out to her. And we have a candle of sorrow. Lily Laxberger passed away this week at the age of 91. She has not been able to be at church for several years, but was a dedicated member of the women's circle for many. We will let you know if we find out about services for her. Finally, a candle of joy from Elizabeth Kilshaware and her family. She says, it is great to be back to the land of the living. The Kilshaware family truly appreciates all the loving, healing thoughts and warm meals. 13 days post-surgery, and let the healing begin. Let us hold in love all the joys and celebration, and all the hurts and sadness, both spoken and silent. Let our joys remind us to be thankful, our concerns remind us to hope, and our sorrows remind us to connect. Let all these moments remind us we are not alone. Please join Judith Stamper in a spirit of prayer or meditation.
I bring you words from Bill Sinkford. Spirit of life and love, dear God of all nations, there is so much work to do. We have only begun to imagine justice and mercy. Help us hold fast to our vision of what can be. May we see the hope in our history and find the courage and the voice to work for that constant rebirth of freedom and justice. That is our dream. Amen.
Let us join together as we extinguish the flame of our chalice. Say together, we extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you for joining us this morning. We are a congregation made up of people who all believe differently, and yet, when we gather together, whether we are in the room or on Zoom, we make up one loving community. We need not think alike to love alike. If you are a guest, a visitor, or someone who hasn't yet been known to us, I invite you to become part of this beloved community. We encourage you to either write in the chat if you are a Zoomer, or if you're a roomer, to stand for a brief moment and tell us your name and where you are from with a microphone provided.
Hello, I'm Lynn Gaza-Sachs. Until recently, the clerk of Orange County Friends across the way, starting this month, the recording clerk there. And so I am visiting you and bring you good wishes from your tenants, Orange County Friends.
If you'd like to know more about our church, including programming for our youth and children, please contact us at hello@ocuc.org and we will help you get connected. In addition, we invite you to sign up for a weekly email called The Blast at blast@ocuc.org. We want everyone to feel a part of this beloved community, so please reach out. All right. For our announcements, I have one special mention of the Music Under the Stars on July 15th at 7 p.m. Mark your calendars for that in the courtyard. It is in the courtyard. You may mark your calendars anywhere you please.
Though brief and cloudy as the events of Stonewall might seem, it was more than a flash in the pan. It was the catalyst for the radical surge for the gay rights movement, one of many fights that we are seeing mirrored now, even in our current political landscape. May the moment of Stonewall's history be as the foundation for the work that yet remains to be done, the flame that heats the heart of a movement, and the inspiration to continue to be so until we are all accepted for the divine beings just as we are. Amen, shalom, salam, namaste, and blessed be. Go now in peace. May the light within you be a blessing to the world.
Let us go out and all do our part. Let us go out, bring joy to each heart. Let us go out with indifference destroy. Let us go out with joy. One more time. Let us go out and all do our part. Let us go out, bring joy to each heart. Let us go out with indifference destroy. Let us go
This service is over. Let our service continue.